figure out how to approach these showing forms before you open a door? Let's talk about it. Hey everybody, it's Rosemary Lewis, your real estate bestie. Our question today comes from one of our agents from the SIP, Mississippi, and she says, should I have showing forms with me if a buyer wants to see a property? Okay, let's talk about it. So what she is referring to is that what I've seen here in Texas, and I don't know if you've seen this in your other states, is that there are a few versions of buyer agency agreements, and what a lot of brokerages have done, my brokerage has done this, eXp Realty, and then also I've even on our state level, they've done like a one-page buyer representation agreement that pretty much is, the way that it was explained to me, it's like, hey, the full representation agreement is like, hey, we're getting married, right? We are in this committed thing until you actually buy a house. But some clients, like, let's just be real, they're not going to be ready to fill out and commit to you as an agent, but you want to protect yourself because legally we have to have something in writing to say that they understand, if I open this door for you, I am representing you were you to move forward with this transaction. So her question is, should she have a form with her? My answer is absolutely. However, I would actually encourage you, if you have an appointment with somebody, like before I move my car, before I go across the town to show them, I'm going to encourage you that best practice would be to actually have the form filled out before you get to the property. Now, a couple of reasons, right? I want it to be very transparent exactly what the intention is of you, right? Like, you are there to procure a client, and you also want to make sure that this person isn't committed to someone else. And we all know how it goes, right? I literally had a situation recently, I see it in Facebook groups, but I had a situation on my team where my teammate met somebody, and this is before the settlement and all that stuff. Their agent wasn't available to show them, so they just wanted the team member to show them some properties. Not only is that a waste of your time, right? But no, honestly, we're just gonna leave it at that. That's a waste of your time. So a lot of the things that have happened post-settlement, yes, is setting us up where we're having to have more conversations up front. But what I think it's really going to do is that it's going to have the consumer, right, that potential client that customer that we're hoping to become a client, is going to require them to make a decision on who they're going to work with and not waste a lot of people's time, okay? So I don't want you to be fearful of having these conversations, because at the end of the day, it is to protect you and to protect your license. And if we cannot open a door unless there is a signed agreement between yourself and the person you're opening the door for, then it shouldn't be an issue to get it signed before you get to the property. What you don't want is like a drama-filled hold down, you've wasted your time getting there and all that stuff, only to now drive away, or now you're just, plagued with like a moral dilemma. Do I just open the door and do I just do it? Because people will press you, okay? And I don't want them to press you and you fall back on exactly what your system or your process is. And I'm going to tell you that in my real estate career, for the most part, anytime that I have like just struggled with a client or struggled with a transaction, it's because at some point I went off of what my process was. So this is like the initial start of your process with your buyer clients. So definitely I'm going to encourage you to get that signed ahead of time. Now, sometimes it just works out, right, where they can't sign and all this stuff. Just don't make it a surprise. Like, you don't want to get there. It's unfair to the client or unfair to the buyer for them to get to the front of the door and you're like, hey, I'm gonna just whip this piece of paper out. I need you to sign it before I open the door, right? Again, the whole point and why we have found ourselves here is that the DOG or the DOJ, whatever you call them, they have determined that we need to have a little bit more transparency in our industry. And this is one of the things that we need to be more transparent on. So definitely, my first encouragement is going to be to have your form, whatever form this is, filled out prior to the appointment. But if you can't get it done until you are at the appointment, make sure that it happens there, okay? But make sure the clients know. Let them know that you're not just, springing something on them, that this is actually a requirement by law. And let me just add this one last thing. You know what's going to make it easier for all of us, like for everybody, is if everybody follows the law, okay? So I hope that none of the besties listening to this will just be like, oh, well, I'm just gonna open the door, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, because it's gonna make it difficult for everyone. If all of us follow what has been set out to us, and what the law is that we have to have an agreement, an agency agreement of some form, in order to show properties. If all of us are speaking the same language, then we won't have so many people flip-flopping back and forth, because they're going to understand that they are committed. They have to make a commitment in some form or another in order to actually see the homes. So I hope that this was helpful. I hope that answers your question. And more than anything, I hope that as you just move forward in this post-settlement world, that you just really take some time to really think through, like, some of the changes. Yes, there are changes and there are differences, and we are learning to operate differently, but there is a lot of opportunity out here for real estate agents, and I do think a lot of what has been put in place will actually benefit us in our profession in the long run. So I'll talk to you soon, bestie. Have a wonderful, wonderful day, and happy showing home.